Hello, welcome back. This video is about REVIT, specifically REVIT 2023 as produced by Autodesk. Um, REVIT is a building information modeler, or BIM software. It is an intelligent modeling platform, meaning it requires data inputs on the front end and the back end that can output more intelligent documentation. All of that will make sense later on, but essentially, instead of drawing two lines that represent a wall, you model a wall, but you model a wall with intelligence. You know that that wall is composed of 5/8 inch gypsum, 3 and 5/8 inch metal stud, another layer of 5/8 inch gypsum, making it a 4 and 7/8 inch wide assembly or wall, a generic A-type wall. And so, in that way, when you're modeling a three-dimensional object that is a wall, that specific type of wall, it has a lot more intelligence built into it than a simple modeler like SketchUp or Rhino. Rhino, you draw a shape, you extrude it, and that becomes a wall, but there's no intelligence. It's just planes. Whereas Revit is a building information modeler. It's an intelligent modeler. So this video is intended to introduce the graphic user interface, or the GUI, and we'll start with the opening screen. So when the screen opens, you'll see this, and Revit really only deals with two file types. The first is an RVT, or a model file, and the next is an RFA, or a family file. And families are the things that are built constructs outside of architecture. Think furniture, think equipment, fixtures, those kinds of things represent families. That doesn't mean you can't make families from scratch, and I'm going to do a video about that later on, specifically parametric families. But for the most part, you're going to want to stay in the model category for now. And so your choices are open an existing file, create a new file, open an existing Revit family, create a new family. We're going to do new model. And in this case, they give you options of templates to start from, like a construction template, a structural template, systems template, both an imperial and metric. We're going to use imperial architectural template and hit project, not template, and hit OK. So the first thing you'll see is what Revit understands is the graphical user interface, how you control the model. I'm going to go through some of the ribbons at the top. I'll go through the information on the right, the left, and the bottom. But probably the most obvious is the big blank page in front of you. That's your workspace. It is 1-to-1, meaning 1 inch equals 1 inch, so it's real world dimensions. But you can create it at a scale, meaning, so if I draw something in here, let's say a wall, and I want that wall to be 30 feet, I click once, drag out, type in 30 feet, enter, and it's 30 feet. I'm not having to do math in my head. This scale is what it would be if I were to print it at scale. Same thing is true with text and all that stuff. So I'll get into that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is the environment you create the model in. And what you're looking at are the north, south, east, and west arrow blocks. So this is how elevation blocks. This is how Revit identifies an elevation marker. So you have the block itself, and then you have the identifier to show which direction it's looking. So these come with every model template, at least the architectural template, and this is your workspace. Across the top is your content creation. For the most part, content creation. There's some editing tools here too, but you find objects that you would most associate with buildings. Walls, doors, windows, components, which are families, columns, roofs, ceilings, floors, curtain systems, and we're going to dive into that, railings, stairs, etc. Right? And then there's some really data-rich things like rooms, tags, areas, and then some editing tools, which are openings, the grid lines for a column grid, and then the work planes, which will make a lot more sense. So that's the ribbon of information at the top to get your model started. And it is organized generally by discipline. So there's architecture, structural, and then you have steel, precast, which is again part structural, systems for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. The insert is where we reference other material like CAD links or other Revit files. You can also load some of your families here. I'm going to show you that later on in another video too. Annotation is what it sounds like. It's where you dimension things, add text, tag information. Analyze, I don't really use it, but I will do a video later on about it. So it's how you identify different pressures in rooms and things like that. Massing and site, I'm going to spend a video on that. I'm going to do a video on each one of these menu bars, but these are just the different tabs you have available to you. Collaborate, view tab, this is our 3D view, our sections, our plans, all that stuff. How you manage the file and or parameters within that file. Whatever add-ins you might have. I have Enscape as a plugin. I'll explain Enscape later on. And then whatever tools you need to modify the things you've already done. So that's the what I call a creation toolbar. I'm sure it has a much better name, but that's what I call it. Now in everything, there is a properties box and a browser. The property, now I think out of box Revit, they come on the same side, like they're both on the left-hand side. But I like to split them on either side of my workspace and keep them separate. Properties box is what it sounds like. It's the properties for either this view, or if I selected an element in that view, the properties change to the element specific to that property, right? Or specific to that element, I should say. The browser is how you navigate the model. So right now, the bolded element is level 1. That means we're in a floor plan view of the first level. Then there's a RCP, reflected ceiling plan, level 1 and 2. These are by default in the template. The elevations, which I showed you earlier, north, east, south, and west. And then legends, schedules, sheets, families, and groups. I'm going to go through all of these in further videos. Last thing I wanted to show you in this video is the view parameters or view controls at the bottom. So I can control my scale here. I can control my filter as far as the amount of information I see. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's say right now this is a generic wall. If I change that to a, let's do something with a lot of stuff. Brick on metal stud, okay? So right now in the course view, which is what this is, you only see 4 lines which represent the wall. If I change that to fine, I now see the brick, airspace, sheathing, metal stud, and interior sheathing. Right? So that's pretty interesting. And so all that information is in the model, Revit tries to make your models faster by limiting the amounts of information you see per view using this detail level. You can change your style, similar to what we talked about in SketchUp. You can do wireframe. You can do hidden line, shaded, coarse, consistent, and realistic. If I change to realistic and do fine, you'll see the brick, you see the airspace, you see the sheathing, you see the metal stud, and so forth, right? So that's super helpful, I think, anyway. Turn on back to hidden line. You can turn on sun paths and shadows. You can turn on, the shadows, like I said, so there's my shadow. You can crop the view, show the crop region, temporary hide things, reveal things that are hidden, temporary view properties, hide analytical model, and reveal constraints. And then there's 2 last things down here at the bottom. Again, will be additional videos. I don't want this video to get too long. I want it to be 10 minutes or less. So this one is if you're collaborating with others, so what work set you're working in. And then this one is design options, which I'll spend more time in another video on. So again, this video was just to orient you around what happens when you open Revit. What do you see? And what can I manipulate, right? So that's the intent of this video. Hopefully you found it useful. And if there is something you want to see specific in this series of Revit, I know it's the industry leader as far as documentation software for our projects in the architecture world. I'm happy to do a custom video, or not a custom, but a video about a specific topic. So please like and subscribe, and I will get on the way. Otherwise, I'm just going to do generic videos about each one of these disciplines and tabs and showing what you can do and not do with it. Well, not do. I'm going to show you only what you can do with it. All right, have a great day.